So I'm here today with Alban, the head of marketing over at Buzzsprout, a friend of mine that I've known for the past few years. And we did a video a few years ago walking through Buzzsprout, all of its different features and who it's best fit for. And we're doing that again today because people have been asking for it. So how you doing, Alban?
Doing well, Ben. Good to chat with you. Always good to go through Buzzsprout and get together.
Absolutely, man. And so we're going to walk through a few things today for everyone watching this. We're going to start with how easy it is to start a show with Buzzsprout, how easy it is to grow, and the different tools that are there for growing the show, and then also how you can make money and monetize off your show. So I'll take a back seat now and let Alban take over. Do your thing.
Cool. We started building Buzzsprout in 2008, launched in 2009, and back then podcasting was really like for the nerds. It was super technical. It was difficult, and there wasn't something that was super easy for beginner podcasters. And so that was the kind of space that we stepped into. Most of our customers early on were nonprofits, NGOs, lots of people who didn't want to be dealing with all this technical stuff to get their message out to the world. So Buzzsprout, our goal is to help make it as easy as possible for you to upload your podcast and distribute it everywhere around the world. So we'll start on the podcast info page. This is where you put in your basics about your podcast, title, description, artwork. One of the nice things we have here is this Canva integration. It makes it really easy for you to find a template that kind of matches the feel of your show. So, I don't know, we can go through and maybe this one kind of matches what I want, change the name, maybe change some, the logos or colors, and click send to Buzzsprout, and that will appear inside of your podcast so that now you've got artwork already done. Nice things are all dimensions and file types and all that stuff is taken care of on the back end.
That's awesome. And Canva is also incredibly easy to use. And you said before, how many templates are there?
I mean, they have hundreds of thousands of templates. There's thousands and thousands of, or at least hundreds of podcast artwork templates. And since they're so easy to customize, you know that as long as you're putting a little bit of thought, making sure the colors are unique, that it matches your branding, you're going to have something that's unique inside of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. A few other things that you may look into, make sure you check explicit if your show is explicit. But then now you've got your podcast set up. And this is a show that I run that we just generally every other week talk about the podcasting industry. So that's where what Buzzcast is about. We'll upload a episode. I'll just drop one in now. And there we go. It's uploaded. You can give your podcast episodes, titles, descriptions. Make it really easy to customize these, especially with formatting. So put in bullets, put in links, all the basics that you want to have in your show notes so that people can actually follow the links, take the actions that you want them to. One of the cool things that we launched a few months ago was this episode footer. And the idea is there's a lot of this info that I was typing out every time for every episode. Like I wanted people to tweet at the podcast and follow the hosts. And, we just had a few different things we wanted people to do. And instead of like copy and pasting this every time, this is now a feature where it's included on every episode, whatever's in there. So drop in your socials and your main call to action. And then you can have, things again, artwork that is specific to your episodes. A lot of podcast players like to highlight this artwork if that's something that you want to create. And then we decide when to publish. Since this is just a bogus episode I uploaded, I'm going to leave it unpublished. But it's nice if you want to schedule things for the future. The benefit for scheduling, obviously, is upload everything in bulk, batch do your podcast, and then set it up for a few weeks. Don't have to stress it. Or if you're working with an editor, they can upload it and you can actually approve it before it actually goes live. So I'll leave this unpublished. That's good to go. All right, now I'll show you maybe another episode we just launched. All right, so this one's out to the world. And once you're done uploading your episode, there's a few things you can do. You can create chapter markers. These are really nice for when people are on your website and maybe they want, to go into an episode. So this is like the public site. and just see like certain parts of the episode. Maybe they want to like jump down to the Spotify announcement. I want to check out what that is. And it will pull you right to that spot. And we also do a lot of work with transcripts. So we developed the tag along with the podcast 2.0 initiative to have transcripts inside of podcasts. It's really helpful for 3 different reasons. Accessibility for anybody who is hearing impaired or just prefers to read themselves, SEO, and then there's a lot of people that just don't actually want to listen to podcasts, but they still want the info. This is a great way to share that. My dad is one of those people. He will not listen to any podcast I send him, but if I send him the transcript, he will go ahead and he'll read it and he'll enjoy it.
Does that get created automatically with Buzzsprout?
You can just go in, and we have an integration with Temi, and then you can set it up so that it goes on really quickly. So that can be done inside of here. So yeah, back to this episode. A few other things you can do. You can create a visual soundbite. So you've probably seen these things on social media. You've maybe seen them on TikTok or Twitter or Facebook, wherever you live online. And it's kind of like a audiogram where you see kind of the words, you can see the actual waveform moving. And those get about 7 times as many clicks and engagement as just a static image. And so inside of Buzzsprout, we have the ability for you to go in, find a little clip that you think is compelling, and then include that, and then generate those images or those video files. And then you can upload that to your Twitter or whatever to kind of help promote the episode. And then let's see what else. One other thing, I'll leave this for when we talk about monetization. So now that we've got this podcast episode up, now we want to go look at directories. So the thing about directories is these are how you get your podcast out to the world. It is possible to have a podcast just live on your site, but if anybody opens up the Apple Podcast or Spotify app, they're not going to find your show. And so we work with all these directories. Whenever new ones like YouTube come on, we're working with them to make sure that all of our shows are available. Buzzsprout right now has over 120,000 active shows. And so it's really important for us to make sure as soon as there's a new directory, like on the day of launch, that we already have that integration set up. But it's really easy. If you want, you just click. For Spotify, it would literally just be a 1-click submission and your podcast is ready to go. And then now let's start talking about a little bit more of the marketing side. So we've got this podcast up, it's out in the directories. So for growing the show, first thing you want to do is have a website. And so this is a website built by Buzzsprout for your show. It's included in every plan. And the nice thing is we've got links to all of the directories so people can listen. This can be kind of like your Linktree page where you drop this into your socials and you say, here's the website, but it links out to everything automatically. So as soon as we see you're listed in Google Podcasts, we're going to include that link. You can go in and listen to individual episodes. Like I said earlier, you've got transcripts, show notes, chapter markers, everything's included here. But if you're somebody who already has a website or you want to build something custom, then we allow you to embed all of your episodes on your own site. And so we have the ability for you to go in and customize an embed player however you want, include multiple episodes, include single episode, change your colors, change your artwork. We've got lots of different styles that you could try out. The whole goal is we're giving you something that is super easy for you to use, and then put that code on your site and it will always be updated. So if you ever make changes inside of Buzzsprout, those changes will be reflected on your website. Sweet. And then as you're growing, the big thing you want to be able to do is track your statistics. So last 30 days, I've got about 10,000 downloads. And the important thing when you're growing a podcast is really understanding which of your marketing initiatives are working and which are not. A lot of times people throw a bunch of initiatives out there and they never figure out which ones don't work. It's really important to figure out which don't work so you can stop doing those and then run different experiments. So we launch these episodes every Friday. So there's that one. There's the other launch. Those are the new episodes. But we also are seeing big peaks here on Tuesday. Now, I know that's when I include the new episodes in a newsletter that we send out. And if I was, looking at this, I'd go, okay, this promotion that I'm doing is actually like the number one driver of this podcast. If it wasn't for this promotion, we would probably be getting like half as many downloads. And so I know I want to keep doing that. You also have the ability to see things like which are my top episodes, what are my top apps. This is important because if you do any promos that like really push towards a single app, you want to make sure that you're replicating those. But you can actually jump in and you just pull out a lot of useful data so you can start seeing which of them of your initiatives are working. Another thing you can do are start looking at just these individual episodes. All right, so on the episode downloads, what we're seeing here is we want all of these episodes to kind of be compared apples to apples. It's hard when you've got old episodes that are like months and months old, and you have new episodes that are just a few days old, and you're trying to compare like, is the new episode performing well or not? And so you can see this is just the first 7 days for my last 20 episodes. So I can go in and see it used to be in the first 7 days, we would get about 900 downloads. And that was pretty consistent. We started doing some new promotion. We started seeing in the first week, we were getting up to 1,200. And eventually we started having some episodes that over 2,500 downloads within the first week. So we really started to catch our stride and figure out some new promotion strategies. Some of these are ones we didn't promote, and we can see that big drop off. When we start looking at like larger timeframes, we will actually highlight the episodes that haven't hit that threshold yet. So you don't really want to compare these 3 episodes to the 3 that already had like a full 30 days. And then another thing that I love being able to see are my locations. Where are people located around the world listening to my podcast? A lot of times, if you work on a team and maybe you're reporting, maybe you're using a podcast to interview the CEO of your company and talk to people in your company, and you want to see if you're actually growing something at work. A lot of times people like to report, not only are we really hitting our core target, maybe we are in North America and we sell stuff in North America, but as you're starting to branch out and sell worldwide, it's valuable to hear, hey, we're actually getting a substantial amount of downloads in Europe or Asia. You can go in and see which of your top cities. Jacksonville, Florida is where I'm based, so it's good to see we're in the top 3, but it's good also to see what other cities are we getting a substantial amount of listens, because those are places maybe if I was traveling, I might want to set up a little meetup and try to connect with people rather than just missing everybody. Ben, it's good to see you represented among our listeners there, the Canadians.
And then with the Jacksonville one and then London, I wonder if those London people are Jags fans too.
Yeah, if you're a Jags fan, you're located here. These 2 right there. So once you've got a handle on the stats, you're doing some social promotions with the with our visual soundbite. The last thing you might consider is Buzzsprout ads. Buzzsprout gives you the ability to take a trailer that you make for your podcast or a promotion and have that added to other people's podcasts. And this is a pretty powerful growth strategy because you often are trying to reach people who don't know about podcasting. So let's say I have a podcast about AI and I want to grow it. I might go out to people and say, hey, you should check out this podcast about AI. But I've got to do 2 things. I have to convince them that they want to learn about AI. And I also have to convince them that they want to listen to a podcast and show them how to do that. that becomes pretty difficult when you're like, oh, you see that app on your phone, the purple app? Like, okay, now sign up here. Okay, use your Spotify. Oh, you don't use Spotify? Okay. Now you're doing all this extra work. When you advertise in other podcasts, you know these are people who are already avid podcast listeners. They've got an app that they use. They know that they want to listen to shows. And because Buzzsprout knows what their listeners enjoy based on the categories and the shows they're already listening to, we can help you target the right people. So that's one of the things you can find if you go to buzzsprout.com/ads. You'll be able to actually see, what those prices look like, and then run one of those promos for your podcast.
That's wicked. And that's a recent addition to Buzzsprout, right?
Yeah, we launched it about a year ago. And the main reason we launched it is because we want to do this next thing, which is in the monetization section. And that's the other side of Buzzsprout ads, where as a podcaster, once you hit a certain threshold, we want you to be able to find opportunities for advertisements or for other people to promote their podcasts. And you can go through and see, okay, this school of podcasting would like to advertise in my show. You can listen to it. You can see everything about this podcast. And if you like it, you accept the ad. Immediately, we're going to add that promo into all of your back catalog. Or you can decline it and let them know, I'm not really interested. Maybe it's not age appropriate for my audience, or whatever the reason may be. So we can actually go in here and see like all the money that we've made using this podcast from accepting ads. So there's some podcasts where ads are really not appropriate. Maybe you're a podcast about sobriety or helping people make a change in their life, or maybe it's something that's spiritual and just doesn't feel right to drop like a Hello Fresh ad like right in the middle of that. I've talked to people who they have really intense conversations about loss, and they're like, I just can't monetize that. But it is good for you to be able to receive some payment so that the content you're creating that's really valuable is actually being supported by the listeners. So Buzzsprout subscriptions can be two different types. You can upload some content as bonus content, and people can subscribe to your podcast by going to the subscription page, and they can give you a little bit of information about themselves. The benefit is that now they get access to all of those episodes. But if you're a newer podcast and you're thinking, I don't really want to be creating bonus content right now, I'm still working on the original content. Well, the nice thing is you can set up Buzzsprout subscriptions like I've done on this one, just to be, hey, I want to make some money. So you can donate on a recurring basis to me, but I'm not going to give you anything extra. And one thing I love to see is that there's quite a few people who are interested just on their own in supporting a podcast, even if they aren't hearing that there's actually something additional out there for them. And this kind of, became apparent to me when I realized I had 3 different podcasts that I really liked. One of them gave me bonus content and I paid for it, but 2 of them, there was no additional benefit, but I thought I want to support the creators I really enjoy. And so I started supporting them. And that was when we started looking at adding this into Buzzsprout so that more listeners and your biggest fans can support you with a monthly contribution.
That's awesome. And I think that makes so much sense for podcasting specifically because of how deep the connection is and how tight you can really be and feel with your audience. So I think a lot of podcasters sell themselves short and they think that no one would, but I'm pretty confident you'll be surprised. And it's really easy to do that right within Buzzsprout.
Yeah, I have been shocked at some of the listener number or the success some people have had with Buzzsprout ads. There's some shows that are relatively small. And so there's one I saw, I think that he was only getting somewhere on the order of like 300 downloads per episode. So, a bigger than average show, but not like a Joe Rogan level show, not a massive show. And a lot of advertisers would not even consider advertising on his podcast because it's not that big. When he set up a Buzzsprout subscription and started doing a little bit of bonus content, almost instantly we saw his numbers jump to well over $400 a month in recurring revenue from his podcast. So over $1 per listen that he was averaging. And it just shows like you can have a core audience who really values your content. And if it's a good connection between the podcaster and the audience, there is a way to monetize your podcast and make some real money.
That's awesome, man.
The last thing I'd show you is dynamic content. So the nice thing here is if you want to run ads and the opportunities that we're bringing you are not the right fit for you, or maybe you're trying to sell your own product, or you want to tell people, hey, I actually did plan that trip to London to do a meetup with the audience, but a lot of people probably are listening to old episodes, or they may not listen to the newest one in time for the meetup. Dynamic content is upload content, some audio that is telling people about the product, service, or meetup that you want to tell them about. And then we can add it to all of your back catalog. So this can be uploaded. Here's a bunch of things I've uploaded over time, and you can add that to the front of all of your episodes called a pre-roll, to the end of all the episodes as a post-roll, or use we have some smart insertion point finder and add it to the middle of episodes. So what that technology does is we actually use AI. We're going through the episodes and we're finding spots that are really good chances to kind of pause the conversation and then drop in an advertisement or drop in your message. And so you can apply that to a mid-roll, and we will find all those spots for you automatically so you don't have to stress it. Kind of similar to how YouTube does ads inside of your YouTube videos.
And this also, the way that I've seen this used most frequently is that it's a huge tool to make more money off of your existing catalog of content. Because even if you get a new sponsor on, and you can upcharge how much they're paying by including all of your old content too. So it means that all of the work you've already done can still be making you more money, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to actually dive into this a little bit and show people. If we just look, I'm just going to pick a random day. So here's a random day where we didn't get many downloads, 138. And yeah, our latest episode, got 37 downloads. But also you can go back and see all of these episodes that are getting 1 to 2 downloads, 3, 4, 6. Our second episode ever, 6 downloads. Well, what's happening here is there are people who subscribe to the show and they find something they want to learn about and they go back to the old ones. I've seen there's some shows that are like this one that are really timely because we're always talking about news, current things that are happening. But shows that are evergreen, they will often have old episodes be the biggest bringer in, they're bringing in the most downloads.
Show.
It's like, it's a buzzkill though if you sold an ad on one of those big episodes for like $50 because you're like, yeah, it's probably only going to get a few hundred downloads. And then years later, they're still getting tons of value. And you're the podcaster going, man, that actually was probably worth more like $5,000, not $50. Well, with dynamic content, you say, hey, it's going to be in there. I'm going to get you 20,000 downloads or whatever the number may be. And then when you see it's hit 20,000 downloads, you can just turn that ad off. So it's pulled out of all your episodes. And then you sell it again to the same person, or you sell it to somebody else, and we add it into all the back catalog. So it's making sure that you as the podcaster have enough control to leverage your back catalog to actually continue making you money as you grow the show.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think you did a great job walking through that. The one thing I'd love to dive a little deeper into too is that with the monetization piece, so you're bringing forward opportunities for people just to say yes or no to ads. Like that's the value of having both sides of the platform, correct?
Right. And we just recently launched brand advertisements. So companies or products that want to connect with tons of podcasters, they can go and they can run an ad themselves. What's really nice there is all of a sudden those are showing up inside your dashboard, And so if there's some that are a good fit for you, you can add them to your podcast.
That's awesome. Was there anything else that you wanted to run through?
There's lots of other features that are built into Buzzsprout, but they're probably not the most important. We have things like magic mastering, where automatically cleaning up your audio. We've got lots of little features like that. Just everything is focused on making this as simple of a process as it can be for you. And we do a ton of resources. These are blogs or videos or podcast episodes about the podcasting industry. Again, we want to make it as easy for our customers to problem solve any issue that comes up in the creation of a podcast so that you can get out to the world. And then I guess the last thing we could talk about would be Buzzsprout support team. We have a US-based support team, and if you ever write in to support@buzzsprout.com, you'll get an answer back, I think on average within about 10 minutes if it's during business hours, but 24/7, the average is under an hour, you'll get a response. And that's, we realize, like, if you're working on a podcast and you hit a roadblock, it's really frustrating to be waiting multiple days to get a response. And so support has always been a priority for us. So write in to support@buzzsprout.com. Even if you aren't using Buzzsprout right now and you have a question, they will be more than happy to point you in the right direction and help you out.
That's one thing that I hear time and time again, because obviously I've been talking about your product for like 3 or 4 years now. That's one thing I hear so often. Or is why they went and then why they stayed. So it really does make a huge difference, because anybody who starts something new or it's really important to them, when you run into a bottleneck, you want it solved and you want it solved now. Yeah. And it's huge to actually can, because unfortunately, a lot of especially software, it doesn't work like that. Like, you get the software, it promises the world, and then it goes down and you're left trying to figure it out.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than, in real life, you can always be like, hey, can I, talk to the manager or something, or like a waiter comes by the table and you're like, hey, this food's not good. Something about the internet, it's so frustrating when something goes wrong and all of a sudden everyone that was there to help you set it up is disappeared into the background, and you're left on your own. And with Buzzsprout, we're there at the beginning. We'll be there with you the whole way. So we like to think of ourselves as like your friend in podcasting. We're going to help you start, grow, monetize, and hopefully succeed in podcasting and help figure out the best way to do that. So if you have any questions, reach out or check out our YouTube channel. We'd love to be on this journey with you.
100%. Well said. The last things I want to underscore before we cut this off is the Facebook community that you guys have is how many people are in that now?
Let's jump over there. Looks like over 35,000 people. So the nice thing about the podcast community is you're already using Facebook maybe for other groups or maybe to get, keep up with friends. It's really nice to have a community of people who are all striving to do the same thing. And so when podcasting kind of is a little bit more difficult, or maybe there's just nobody in your like real life network that is into podcasting, well, now you can go to the Buzzsprout Facebook community and connect with people who are like-minded and are all striving to do the same thing.
For sure. No, it's a great community, very active. And the last piece, you mentioned how much or how many resources you provide in terms of content from blogs, but your YouTube channel is fantastic. And anybody who's watching this channel, definitely go check out Buzzsprout and subscribe to their channel, because they just hit 100,000 subscribers, which is a massive deal. So congrats to that. And this is the channel right here.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It took a while. You were moving much faster than we were, Ben, but we're excited to hit 100K.
100%, man. Congrats. And anybody, like I can't stress that enough. If you like this channel, you will love their channel. They do the best job at this in the entire industry. So go subscribe to Buzzsprout and let them know that you came from this video.
Very cool. Well, thanks again, Ben. I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of walk through Buzzsprout with you. I know it's a little unpolished, and I hope everyone enjoys it. And if there's any feature inside of Buzzsprout you want to learn more about or questions about podcasting, come over, check out the YouTube channel. We've got tons of videos where we're walking through, features or case studies or all sorts of things. So we're sure to have you covered if you have any questions.
100%. So go check out Buzzsprout. Thanks so much, Alban. We'll have to do it again in another 2 or 3 years, and we'll make sure we keep everyone informed.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ben.